And you mentioned Sherman Kent and the fact that he said that the CIA analysts shouldn't be part of the policy team, yet today's intelligence agencies see themselves as serving the policy team.
Well, this is the great battle that took place at the CIA, and it was starting when I arrived in the mid-1960s, and Sherman Kent was a very important individual to all of us.
Sure.
He was tough-minded, he was rigorous, he was analytical, he was totally objective. He wasn't afraid of any fight, but the important thing is don't get politicized by the process. Then 15 years later, William Casey comes in with a totally political agenda. He was Reagan's campaign advisor and won some great campaign victories. He wanted to be the Secretary of State. That was out of the question, but they gave him the CIA. He had a background in OSS. And essentially he brought in Robert Gates to be his intelligence filter. And Gates's approach was turning Sherman Kent on his head. Don't stick your finger in the eye of the policymaker. Don't irritate the policymaker. Find out what the policy agenda is so you can respond to the agenda. His idea was relevance was key. Sherman Kent didn't care whether we were relevant or not. He wanted us to be right. That was extremely important to Sherman Kent. And when I was there in the 60s and 70s, that was what the battle was about, getting the intelligence right. With Bill Casey and Bob Gates, it was about trying to defend whatever we could to prevent the worsening of this politicization process. And finally, I just threw my hands up and went to the National War College, realizing this was a fight I was never going to win.
And one of the outcomes or byproducts of the politicization you talk about is the embellishment or exaggeration of the threat assessments. And just recently we've seen leaders in the intelligence community going on Capitol Hill saying the threat from the Islamic State is greater than ever anything the U.S. has ever faced before, it sounds, as if that's still part of the problem.
Well, that has been a problem from day one. And I think we were lucky with Eisenhower in the 50s because he knew an exaggerated threat assessment when he saw one. So the things that his neoconservatives of the day, Allen Dulles at CIA, John Foster Dulles at State, his own vice president, trying to push him into Vietnam or to respond to Hungary or to increase the defense budget, Eisenhower wouldn't have any part of that. He didn't believe the bomber gap or the missile gap, and he was correct about that. But what you've had over the years is a steady attempt to find a threat to justify what we do in military policy and intelligence policy. So it was international communism, as if China and the Soviet Union could be great allies. Then it became the Soviet Union itself. Then in the 1980s, under Casey and Gates, it became international terrorism. The Soviets tried to kill the Pope. The Soviets were responsible for all international terrorism. They were playing the international arena like a Wurlitzer organ. That was Bill Casey's line. And frankly now, if you pay attention to the hearings on the Hill, China is becoming that huge threat. And of course, as you say, ISIS and the international arena in the Islamic world plays into that because of the instability and the great disarray that we see in the Middle East.